wish any negativity on anybody, but I'm really tired of having to share space with ignorant people. Like, people are on a very, very thin rope, okay? The rope, it's literally being pulled apart to its breaking point, and all of the little hairs on the rope are frayed, and it's this one little thin, itty bitty line that's keeping folks together in their minds, because people are going crazy. So I have a question for y'all today that maybe I need some help answering, but I also want to know what you guys think, because I've been in a few situations lately where I have been drawn to tell people about themselves, but because of our current, sticky situation of a social climate that we're in, you really can't say anything to anybody anymore because everybody's a bunch of sensitive babies who don't want to hear about themselves. So y'all be sure to let me know in the comments what you think about this topic, because I'm trying to figure out, is it wrong to give unsolicited constructive criticism? Because in the current situations that we find ourselves in as people, I don't think it's wrong to tell folks about themselves. I think it's actually something that we need to be doing more of, because then maybe people won't be walking around looking crazy and acting crazy and doing things that don't make any sense. So if you're down to talk about this topic, be sure to stay tuned, you guys. Definitely get in the comments and let me know what your opinions are on unsolicited constructive criticism. And I'm going to tell you guys what you might need to keep in mind when receiving unsolicited constructive criticism, and also when giving it as well. Hey you guys, welcome back to Mom Jeans by NUTCASE. Thank you guys so much for being here. I am so appreciative and thankful of all of your support. Welcome to all my new subscribers, and thank you to all my existing subscribers. I really appreciate you guys being here. If you are new, be sure to hit the subscribe button, you guys. Be sure to hit the like button on the video if you are enjoying this content, and be sure to turn post notifications to all so that you can be caught up every time I post, okay? I felt like we needed to talk about this because there are a lot of people who you know what, hold on. There are a lot of people out here who are running amok on our society. They're either running amok in your individual communities, or they're running amok on a larger global worldwide scale. And this is an issue because I really don't think that people know how to act. I think that there's a lack of proper home training. And this is not with everybody, because there's a lot of people when I talk about these topics who may become upset because I'm saying what I feel about what's going on, and they take it personally, which is not my issue. But when I talk about these topics, we have to come into this with a little bit of prior knowledge that we know everyone is not doing all of these things that I'm talking about. Every single person on earth is not dealing with the issues that I'm talking about, but there are a large scale of people who are maybe struggling with some of the topics or trying to work through some of those topics that I discussed. So when I talk about these things, I need you guys to try not to take it personally and try not to be sensitive unless it's something that applies to you. And then if it does, I would just ask that you try to keep an objective lens and look at the situation from a different perspective, so hopefully you can improve your life, because that's the intention of this channel. So when I say that people don't have home training nowadays, and I say that people are struggling to make proper decisions, which they are, I'm not saying that it's everyone, but it's a large enough number of people where you can apply the saying that the actions of the few outweigh the actions of the many. So right now, I found myself in a few situations, you guys, recently where I've witnessed people going down the wrong path in their life. Like I've witnessed some type of toxicity or something that I feel like is burdening their spirit. And I was torn, like,
do I say anything? Do I actually express my opinion?
Because you never know how anybody's gonna respond these days. Like people are on a very, very thin rope, okay? The rope, it's literally being pulled apart to its breaking point, and all of the little hairs on the rope are frayed, and it's this one little thin itty bitty line that's keeping folks together in their minds because people are going crazy. And sometimes I'm like, well, dang.
I don't want to be putting myself in a situation where I could be in danger because I see something in somebody that might have them in danger.
And it's like you don't really know what to do in the situation. So I wanted to discuss a few of these scenarios for you guys. If you are someone who has noticed things within people and you're not really sure if you should say something or if you should keep it to yourself, because there are times where I feel like you should keep it to yourself, but there are also times where I feel like you should say something. Then we're going to talk about what you should do if you receive some type of unsolicited constructive criticism, advice, or feedback about yourself. First, let's get into when it's appropriate for you to speak up about what you see. What I want you guys to know first and foremost is that you have to make sure that you maintain your safety first. If you're in a situation where you see something bad happening or you see something negative going down and you feel like you have to step in and say something, you guys, please make sure that you are in a safe place. Make sure that you're in a safe situation. Nobody's telling you, especially me, to get out of your car in a bad neighborhood where you see that someone may be getting harassed or abused and break up a fight or stop them from being in a bad situation. You should probably call for help on that. You cannot handle that by yourself because there are certain things that we have to understand are above our pay grade, right? So if you're in a dangerous neighborhood or you're in a dangerous situation or there are a lot of people who are around you that you might not know where their loyalties lie, it might be best for you to keep your unsolicited criticism or feedback or advice to yourself. And when I talk about unsolicited criticism, this is something that you feel like would be constructive. This is not you just going to pick at somebody about something that they're doing that you don't like just because it's triggering you in some way. It's about when you see someone struggling or when you see someone going through a hard time and you feel in your heart that it hurts you to see them going through this, or you feel some type of pain that they're struggling with this as a human being, then that's when you say something. Not just any old little thing that you feel like is wrong with them. You have to make sure that it's actually valid, constructive criticism before you go to run your mouth. Now, if you feel as if you are safe and you feel that by you saying something, there won't be any detrimental repercussions, I feel that if your heart is drawing you to speak on a situation, you should speak. I am a firm believer of the see something, say something policy, because there may be someone who's being victimized in a situation and they don't necessarily have the tools or the research to get out of that situation. They may not even have the knowledge that they're being victimized, but because of what you've been through, you can clearly see that there's a problem and there needs to be something that's said. I am a firm believer that you definitely should say something to people if you feel that your security and your safety will not be threatened. I also feel like it's necessary if you are in a position where you're the only one who notices something, that you should take some type of action. For example, if you have a girl that you may or may not know and you guys are out at a social gathering or some type of celebration, there may be alcohol and maybe this young lady drank a little bit too much and you see her falling into the hands of someone who looks like they might not be a good influence, or you see her maybe making a fool out of herself and you don't think that she's fully coherent as to how she's acting, I would definitely say something. And I've been in this situation before where women have been vulnerable that I see just by observing them because they may be alone or because they have not really taken care of themselves throughout the night. I've even given people rides home because they were in the atmosphere of danger and they were unaware of it. So I really feel strongly that we as people need to start stepping up more to do the right thing. A lot of people have been desensitized to trauma, and that's just because of what's going on in our society. Partially because we allow it, but partially because there's a control factor. But what I think would really help people to evolve to a higher state of consciousness at this time and live like better lives as individuals would be to break free from that. Step up to the plate. Sometimes there isn't gonna be someone else to do it. I think a lot of us get caught up in that,
Oh, well, someone else will do it. Someone else will pick it up. Someone else will clean this up.
but honey, like literally, there's nobody else that's gonna do it. And that's part of the reason why I'm speaking about this in the first place, is because I feel like a lot of the things that we talk about are really watered down. I feel like there are people who are really making good points out here in these social media streets and provoking us to have a different frame of mind. But I definitely feel like there's not enough realism, I guess is the word, because everything is watered down to fit a narrative or to fit like this generic acceptance level. And to me, like I really don't care what people think. I really don't. So just know when it is important to speak up and give unsolicited, constructive criticism when you feel like someone needs to hear it. It's definitely going to be a no if you're in a dangerous or vulnerable situation and you may not have safety when speaking up. But it's definitely a yes if you feel like you're going to be supported and if you feel like you can securely let someone know what they need to hear at any given time. I just wanted to add that in addition to this, you guys, if you see someone speaking up for a cause that you believe in, support them. Stop staying quiet in the peanut gallery because you're scared of the backlash. If you know something is wrong and you feel like you need to speak up, but you're afraid and someone else speaks up, support them and stop being scary. The second point to this topic, you guys, is how we should be delivering this unsolicited criticism. As I spoke about earlier, it should definitely be constructive. I'm not saying that people should just be out here calling people out for every little thing, because a lot of you guys have problems with what people do because of your own insecurities. A lot of you guys have problems with what people say because of your own insecurities. Deep hidden trauma that you have not dealt with that makes you feel threatened by whatever they're saying or by whatever they're doing. But then there's some people who use that same argument to go out here and do whatever they want just because, and it's a problem. See, what we lack in society right now, what we lack within our human culture is balance. There's no balance in a lot of these situations out here. For example, if you have a woman who is dressing extremely provocatively and that's how she likes to dress and you have a problem with it, I definitely don't think you should be saying something if you're in an environment of a club or a lounge or some type of adult party that's taking place and there are no children in the environment. Mind your business. Let her wear what she wants to wear, because whatever she wants to wear, she's gonna get the resulting energy that is attracted to the energy that she's putting out. So you can't necessarily step into a situation like that, because to me, it would be something that would be inappropriate. You have to let people get what they're gonna get and do what they're gonna do, even if you don't agree with it. But when you do feel like you need to say something, for the same example, if this was a woman who was in a family restaurant wearing close to nothing, and there were a lot of families around, children around, or just people who were feeling uncomfortable, I don't think it would be a problem to say anything. I feel like more people need to speak up when in situations like that, because some of you guys walk around looking like fools and you walk around with no clothes on and you expect for everybody else to want to experience that when that's not necessarily the image that you want to put out. Maybe it is, but the energy that you're getting back is not necessarily something positive that you want. You may think it's something positive because you have a lot of attention and eyes on you, but all attention is not good attention. And I don't mean to be ragging on the ladies, because sometimes there are men who get into situations and they're very loud or flamboyant when it comes to expressing their personality, and it's not an appropriate situation. Kind of like that movie with Gabrielle Union, and she was in the restaurant with this man who was just yelling all through the restaurant.
We out of space. I want to wrap them legs around my waist and in my face. You feel me? Man, I be feeling that. It's like I just...
Situations like that.
I'm sorry, how old are you?
40, shawty.
40.
Yeah.
You don't think that's too old to start a rap career?
Why everybody keep saying that? I mean, yeah, but, you know, I'm good and I got a gimmick. You got to have a gimmick in this game. You heard of 50 Cent?
Yes.
They call me 40%.
Check, please.
They call
Check.
me 40p.
Situations like that.
I feel are appropriate for you to say something to people. And not just those situations, but any situation where you can sense an air of discomfort amongst the people around you, but no one is saying or doing anything, and it's a secure, safe place where you can say something. Here's the way that you should say it. Hi, I know we don't know each other, and I really don't mean any disrespect, but I saw you here doing XYZ, insert action, and I really don't think that it's a good idea. I think that you may be putting yourself in danger, or you could possibly be attracting a situation that you don't want, because I've noticed a few people looking at you, or I've noticed a few people watching, and I want to make sure that you're okay. That's a great way. Like, I don't know what situations that you guys might be faced with, but it could be something so simple as seeing a mother come out of the grocery store and she's struggling with her groceries, and she's got kids, and she's trying to make sure they cross the parking lot safely. She's got a lot on her plate. You can say, hey, do you need help to your car? Do you need help with your groceries? That's unsolicited criticism, in my opinion. Like, there may be another word for it. I don't know. Maybe a good deed, or, a hidden helper or something like that. But this is how I view this situation. If you go to a friend's house and you see that your friend is living in squalor, and you see that they haven't cleaned their house, you see that they've got dirty dishes in the sink, you may see clothes, shoes, or just household items strewn about, like they haven't given any thought to fixing their environment or straightening up their environment, you may want to inquire about their mental health and tell them, hey, we're friends. I love you, and I cannot see you in this situation because this is a mess. What's going on? You may even already know what's going on, and then you get into the situation and you identify that it's worse than what you thought. At that point, I feel like it's appropriate to offer a helping hand. Whether that helping hand is verbal, metaphorical, or physical, where you pick them up out of a situation. Some of you may be experiencing situations with people who have substance abuse, or they have some type of relationship problems mentally and emotionally that they haven't been able to work through. That's a great time to deliver your unsolicited criticism, because you're doing something for a good reason. You're trying to help them in a dark time where they may not be able to help themselves. And by simply saying it without judgment, expressing yourself with love, telling them how much they are loved, will help your point get across a lot more smoothly. What could also help with your delivery is giving suggestions. You don't necessarily have to tell someone what they have to do or what they need to do, but you can tell people what you think they should do, or a few options as to what you think might help in a situation where they're going through something and they don't know how to get out of it. Because when you offer suggestions instead of giving demands, first of all, it helps people to absorb that information without feeling attacked. And second, it gets their brain moving and thinking about what might really be the problem and what's really going on, and the fact that they actually need to do something about it to fix it. Now, the next point that I want to make is what could possibly happen when you deliver this unsolicited criticism. Even if it may be constructive, even if you're making sure that you're in a secure, safe environment when you deliver this, even if you're very loving with your tone, sometimes people are not ready to hear the truth. And that's one thing that I've noticed about a lot of folks. They have become comfortable and complacent within the loving, rocking cradle of dysfunction. They're fine with the illusion of whatever they've created in their mind about what their life or reality is in that moment. And sometimes you need to be ready for the type of response that you might receive, because you may not receive a bunch of hugs and kisses and love and appreciation for you saying what it is that you have to say. People might hate you for saying what it is that you have to say. People may lash out at you for saying your opinion. And that's why I want you to make sure that you're not doing this in a situation that is unsafe. Because honestly, you never know how people are going to take what it is that you have to say, because people are not ready to hear the truth. And you breaking it to them may be something that shocks their senses. And you don't want to get a shock in return just by trying to do the right thing. So be prepared. If you say something to someone and they don't want to hear it, be prepared not to get a positive response. And when you do get get your response. And if it isn't positive, walk away. Because guess what? You did your part. You said what you had to say. Look, I said what I had to say. It was on my heart. I tried to give the best advice that I could. Even though you may not need it or want it, I just want the best for you. If you say anything at all. Because sometimes it doesn't even call for you to say anything, especially if it's a stranger and you see something happening and they're just in their funk and they want to stay in it. All right. And head out. That's all you gotta do. You don't have to keep going and say, well, I just think, no, that's it. Don't keep trying to dig the hole deeper. Because if you notice that they're unreceptive and unresponsive to whatever it is that you have to say, or they make a bunch of excuses about what it is that you're saying, and they don't want to accept the truth to be the truth, you can't make anybody see the truth. They got to see that on their own time. So be prepared to get negative feedback and know how to handle it. If this is someone close to you specifically, like a relative or a friend or a loved one who you really care about, and you really don't want to see them continue to hurt themselves, you may then need to separate yourself from them. Reference our boundaries video that just dropped recently. You may need to set a boundary with someone because they're choosing to stay in an unhealthy, counterproductive situation that puts them in a victimized position. And by you just being around, it's probably hurting you. It's doing something to you as well. Energy is fluid. And that's one thing about this channel that I want you guys to understand is how energy works and what it means for you in your everyday life. So you may have to set a boundary with this person and tell them, if you're going to deal with this person who doesn't treat you right, or if you're going to live in this very unhealthy situation, or if you're not going to face the truth about what's going on in your life, I may not be able to continue a relationship with you. And if you guys want to know more about that, again, check out the boundaries video that we just did. It was focused on Black women. However, I feel like anyone can get value out of that content. And I know it may be frustrating when you guys see something and you say something and it's not well received, but I think that if we as a collective, as a species, as a human race within our society and our culture start to normalize being honest and not lying to ourselves and other people, then some of the things that we're irritated by and a lot of the things that grind our gears when it comes to what we see in society will get better. You get what I'm saying? It's a process. And this is how the process starts. Too much time has gone by where we just sit by as individuals and don't speak on things that are a problem. Because some of y'all out here are a problem. And quite frankly, I'm sick of you. I'm sick of you. I'm sick of having to share space with you. I don't wish any negativity on anybody, but I'm really tired of having to share space with ignorant people. Just because you feel like you should be able to walk around and do whatever you want and act however you want. No, there needs to be more decorum because a lot of y'all don't have any home training. You don't have any values. You don't have any morals, and you don't carry any type of ethical code within your DNA. You just walk around and do whatever you want. People are tired of it. I'm one of them. I don't care if I'm the only person who's tired of it or not. It's a problem. And whether everybody wants to see that it's a problem or not, or whether everybody wants to say it's a problem or not, it's a problem. And that's why no one out here is happy. A majority of people are miserable in their skin because they don't deal with situations properly. And everyone else is so afraid of being canceled or being chastised for telling the truth that they just keep quiet and let y'all walk around and look like fools. Well, guess what? You met somebody who doesn't give a I don't care how you feel about it. I'm gonna tell you when you look dumb. And for a lot of you, you may relate to this video because you're an empath. And because you're an empath, you can feel other people's energy extremely strongly. And it's something that affects you on a regular basis. And more than likely, you're tired of it. So be sure to hit the share button and share this with somebody who you know, who may need to hear it, or who may get value from this message. Now, the final thing that I wanna talk to you guys about is when you receive unsolicited criticism. Now, this may be constructive criticism or it may be deconstructive criticism. As an individual, you have to determine what it means for you. And when you come across someone providing you with unsolicited criticism, which means you didn't ask for their feedback, but they gave it anyway, it means that there may be something that you need to see. In either situation, whether it's constructive or deconstructive, there's something you need to see. There's a message there for you. Let's start here first. Whether it's constructive or deconstructive. If someone gives you unsolicited criticism, first you need to do a scan. Scan yourself. see if you can see what they see. Step out of yourself. Step out of your body for a minute and observe from a bird's eye view of the situation what they may be seeing. Then, once you take a moment to observe, think about where you've been, where you are now, and where you want to be in the future. This is how you can identify if what this person is saying to you is constructive or deconstructive criticism. If you think of all those things and you look at yourself with a clear lens, no biases, no negativity, no positivity, just a very neutral point of view, especially if this person does not know you, and there is something that you want to do in your life or a certain place that you want to be in your life, and they're saying something to you that really touches your soul, and you realize that they could in fact be saying something truthful, then I would take that as constructive criticism. I would take that as possibly a blessing that was sent to you so that you can be redirected off of a negative path. Because sometimes we're so close to the things that we deal with, we're so close to the issues that we have going on, that we lose sight of our way through the forest within the trees. When someone comes in from the outside and they can see a more broader perspective, they're able to enlighten us with information that we may not have been privy to in any other situation, and that we could possibly gain benefit from by applying whatever it is that they say to our life. But I'm definitely also a firm believer that everything that people say to you is not necessarily something that you need. Because a lot of times these days, people give criticism based on their own insecurities, like we spoke about earlier. So really check yourself and maintain your level-headed perspective and determine whether or not it's something that you should actually take with you in your life before moving forward. Deconstructive criticism is when somebody is trying to pull you apart. They're trying to break off pieces of you to deconstruct whatever confidence level that you've built up for yourself, because they have some type of insecurity that they're unable to get over. If you do those mental checks, if you do that scan of yourself, if you take yourself out of the situation and put your mind in that idea of having a bird's eye view, and whatever someone is saying does not correlate with what you know within your spirit you're about, then more than likely it could be somebody who's either jealous of you, envious of you, or someone who's insecure themselves. And at that point, it's really nothing that you have to say. What I would just advise, if you feel like someone is saying something to you that doesn't apply, just say thank you. Thank you for letting me know. Have a great day. Because you don't have to say anything.
Oh, that's not me, and da-da-da-da.
You don't have to say anything. You don't have to snap back. You don't have to have any type of feedback to that statement. All you have to do is say thank you. And then you go on about your business knowing doggone well that somebody might have an issue with you and that you need to keep on doing what you're doing. Because I've noticed that when people start to rise up, a lot of people have a problem with it. Like when you start to rise as a person, people are going to have a problem with your ascension. Because for whatever reason, we as humans feel like there can only be a certain amount of people at the top, even though this is a world full of resources that we could all be using, and it would be equally divided amongst us because that's the way that it was meant to be. But they take issue with you getting a piece of the same pie that they might be trying to eat from, or they take issue with you having a more elevated perspective. There's something underlying whatever it is that they're saying that has nothing to do with you. And if you hear them say it, because we know, not only does our intuition tell us whether or not someone has good intentions, but our body actually tells us if someone has good intentions or not. We can see a person's soul even if we think we can't. Even if you've never thought about this, you can see into a person's soul just by being around them. And when your spirit is disrupted, it's a very uncomfortable feeling. Now, you have to practice your discernment when it comes to this, because sometimes our ego will trick us into thinking that constructive criticism is deconstructive. But that goes back to the point of telling the truth to ourselves, looking in the mirror and actually observing ourselves from a more realistic standpoint. Because you'd be doing yourself a disservice if you know that there's someone around you who really does love and care for you, and they're telling you something that would benefit your life, and you choose not to listen. Now, it doesn't matter if you listen or not. The way that you'll be able to identify if something is constructive criticism or not is if you continue to hear it from multiple sources over and over again. Basically, you guys, if you know that there's a situation that you've been working on or something that you've been trying to change about yourself in your life, don't allow your ego to shoot down someone who may be trying to help you get through that transition by giving you some type of unsolicited constructive criticism. And at the same time, if you know you've made changes in your life and you know you've done a lot to improve yourself, and you have a person who's coming to you giving you some type of criticism that you know doesn't apply, just leave it there. Don't take it with you and allow it to literally deconstruct what you've built within your life. All in all, this is a situation that is very subjective. People have opinions. They're going to continue to have their opinions. But my personal opinion is that there are a lot of things going on within our society that do not need to continue going on. There are a lot of things that we're being exposed to that I feel like we should not be exposed to. And there are a lot of ways that I feel like we could improve as people if we come together and speak about the things that we see that are not necessarily right. And who's to really say what's right or what's wrong? I by no means want to be the sounding board as to how people figure out what's right or wrong in their lives. But there are certain things that we experience and that our children are having to experience that I feel like are unnecessary if we were to just be a little bit more real and honest about the things that we know are destructive. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you guys so much for being here. I really appreciate it. As always, be sure to subscribe, be sure to like the video, leave me your comments below and let me know what you feel about this topic. Let me know what your opinions are and what you think about receiving unsolicited criticism or about giving unsolicited criticism. And you guys be sure to turn on post notifications so you can be caught up every time I post. And I'll see y'all next time. And remember, that's why they call them mom jeans, honey, because everybody can't fit in them. Bye, y'all.
Why, yo, are we so